Hello my friends, today I'm making kites. I plan to round up a bunch of kids and we'll have a kite festival. So I'll show you how I make these. And I learned when I was just a kid. We used to make them out of paper bags and garbage bags and so on. You start out and you have to have some sticks for the frame of the kite. And you can use dowels, but I rip them on my table saw here. And the idea is they have to be flexible, but not so flexible that the wind could break them. So they have to be just right. You can use dowels, like I said, and they work good. I start out by cutting the length, and then I cut these notches in the end of the boards here, and that's where I can tie my string on there. You'll see how I do that later. Now you come down about a third is what I figure for that cross piece to go, and so I've got it measured out, and I'm putting some glue right there, and I'll glue that cross piece on there. And then in this case I decided to take some little nails and tack it together with those rather than tying it. I figured with the nails and the glue that'll work real good. Now here I'm bending those nails over on the back side. First I'll pound that through and then flip it over and pound the ends over. Alright, so now it's time to put the string on, and here's what I do. I put it right down in that little saw mark that I made, and then wrap around a few times and come on back through there, and now you can go and tie it up. Yep, you got to tie it up. You want this to be real secure so it can't come undone. When that wind's blowing, there's a lot of force on this kite, a lot of stress. So you want to do a good job of tying that string on there. Alright, now I'm going down around the kite, and I've got those little notches in each one of the sticks there, and so I can just stick it through there and then wrap it around and go to the next one. I think you see what I'm doing there. Alright, so when you get all the way around there, tie it off securely again, and now leave a tail there. I heat it up so that string holds together on the ends so it won't unravel. So you've left some extra string there so you can tie it off. Now what I'm doing is drilling a hole through there so I can attach the tail and have it be on securely there so it won't rip off. Now this material I found online. It's kite making material, and I got several different colors: red and yellow, orange, green, blue, and it's real strong stuff. It won't rip, but it's very lightweight. Now what I'm doing now is marking lines on that material so I know where to cut it. And I've laid the kite down on there a minute ago and mark some lines so I can cut this thing out. And you'll see as I go along here, once you get it started, you can just kind of push the scissors through the material, cut it that way. I don't know if you can see it there, but I've got an outside line that I'm cutting on and then an inside line. And what that'll help me do is line this kite up, and then when I glue it, I can fold the outside piece over and fold it right to that inside line there. Now you use contact cement, and it comes in these little bottles like this, or you can do like I did and buy a bigger can. But when you apply the contact cement, you want to put it on, not too thin, but not too thick either. If it's too thin, it won't stick good. You've got to have enough on there, and then you wait 20 minutes. The glue has to dry, believe it or not. And then when you touch those two surfaces together, that is glued together and it will not come apart. Now I'm just trimming around the ends there a little bit. As you can see, I'm folding over now and lining it up on that inside line. I fold it right over that string there. Now that will not come apart. Now when I was a kid, I used to use Scotch tape or even staples. I'd use a stapler and staple it together that way. But doing it this way here, this will not come apart. This kite should be able to be used for a long, long time. Alright, so there we've got our kite. Now the next thing is we have to attach the harness. Oh, there, I'm just testing that flexibility. This one's a little bit stiff. I wish it was just a little more flexible, but we'll see how it works. Alright, now the harness goes on and has to go through the kite right there and come out and then attach down at the tail. So we need to poke a hole through the kite. Because this is this special kite material, it will not rip. And now I'm just sticking the string down through, and then you just tie it around that stick. Or at least that's what I used to do. What I've decided to do here is just take my drill and drill a hole through there. Then I'll have a place to tie that string off so it can't slide up and down. It'll stay right there. But you don't have to do this. You can just stick that string through and tie it around the stick. I'm kind of fussing around here a little bit more than I need to. Alright, now when you get your harness ready, it's got to come out just above that cross stick. So what I do is I tie a loop in there. And I'm holding it with my right hand down there at the tail. Oh, here I decided to tie a second loop. I'll tell you about that later. You can see just about where there's the second loop there. Now when you go to fly your kite, you tie your string to one of those loops. And the kite will fly differently depending on where the string is attached to that harness. And so if it doesn't fly just right, you might want to try attaching your string to the other loop. That's why I put two loops in there. It's just about above that cross piece. So we'll go ahead and tie this off down on the tail end. And making those little saw marks in the end there sure helps to secure this string. Just slide it through that crack there and then tie it off, and it shouldn't come off of there. Alright, so there's the string for the tail right there. Alright, now you have to make this kite has to be bowed. And this is what a lot of people don't do, and that's why their kites won't fly. You've got to bow that kite and tie it off, and that's kind of tricky to do, but you just hold it and make a bow right there. And tie that off in that bow position. Now I decided to add these little yellow pieces on there just for a little flare there. That should look pretty cool when it's flying. Now I made a few kites. Here's one I made using dowels. Here's one I made, and then I glued some yellow circles on there just to make it look fun. And then the biggest one I made is this orange one here. And oh, by the way, if you can decide on any length for your kite or any size. I think this one here is 36 inches long, so that's the vertical one. And then the cross piece needs to be a little bit shorter, like 34 inches. So if you make a kite that's 26 inches high, then make the cross piece 24, just so it's a little bit less. That's basically the idea when you decide on the size for your kite. It's kind of fun to make different size ones. But I think this kite here is going to be the best flyer because I got the sticks just right for it. They're flexible and yet they're strong. Here I'm making that harness again. See, I hold it with my right hand down at the tail end there and get it so that that loop is just above that cross piece. Now you can see how I've got this one. See how flexible that is? There's a nice bow in it. That should fly real good. Okay, so that's how I make kites. Oh, this one here I decided to take some glue and put over that string. That'll help hold it. So here we go. This is the maiden flight. And away we go. Oh, and by the way, you've got to have a tail on these kites. And you just take your string and tie a bunch of little short pieces of rag on there. I think my rags were like a foot long, maybe 2 inches wide. And I just tied them on that string down through there. And I think that tail is about 15 feet long. And the way you decide on the length of the tail, if you start flying your kite and it wants to just go in circles, that means you need more tail. If the kite just kind of hangs in the air and doesn't weave back and forth like this at all, that means you've got too much weight, too much tail, and you have to cut a little bit off. And that all depends on how windy it is that day. But you want that kite to go back and forth like that some. There, see how it just wanted to almost turn a circle there. Must have had a pretty good gust of wind. Well, here we are reeling it in. And I look forward to coming up here with the kids and having some fun. Thanks for watching, everybody.